Hey, my name is Dennis Madsen. I am the manager of urban and long-range planning for the city of Huntsville. I'm one of the folks who's going to be leading the public planning processes that we're going to be engaging this summer around the future of the depot grounds. This is obviously one of the most historic parts of Huntsville. It's something that anyone who's grown up here is familiar with the site. So we know that what it becomes in the future has to be part of Huntsville's past. So we're going to do a quick kind of walk around here, get everyone oriented, and then we're going to talk about some of the constraints and opportunities that I'd like everyone to be thinking of before we really get into planning for the future. So if we start to walk around here, we're in the middle of the site. It's several acres, really situated on the northern edge of downtown. In the northwest corner is one of the most historic buildings in the city of Huntsville, the Huntsville Train Depot. I think our preservationist, Katie Stamps, has probably shared a lot of fascinating info with you about that. This is really kind of one of the anchor points. It is not going away. It shouldn't go away. It's an important part of our history, but we do need to talk about what is its next use. What can go in there? What can help breathe life in it? What can help it celebrate what Huntsville is? And a big part of our planning discussion is going to be, what do we think can be the next life of the depot? As you move around the site, you're going to see a few other buildings. You're going to see a number of train cars out here. We have already been talking with the North Alabama Rail Museum about finding a good home for those. They're going to work with us in making sure that those find a great place where folks can still engage them, folks can still enjoy them. And that will be coming up as part of the planning process. Next to that is the auto building. Talk a little bit about the future of that. That is not a historic structure, so we've got a little bit more flexibility on how we want to think about that. As we turn around the rest of the site, you'll see the Huntsville Roundhouse, which is frequently used for public events. That's also we would probably want that to stay. But we do need to talk about, does it continue as a special events venue? Is there some other purpose that could be breathed into it? We also have the turntable there. That's not a historic turntable. I think there's some options in terms of whether or not we could repurpose what goes in there or fill it in. There's a whole lot of opportunity here. But it's definitely something else that we want to talk about as we are looking at the future of this site. The other major piece on site is the parking. Parking obviously can change. We can expand it, we can move it. There's a lot of opportunity there. But those are all the pieces that we're going to want to talk about, the extent to which they can change, to which they can grow, to which they can update as we talk about the planning process. When we start thinking about what we want to see on this site as a community, it's important to understand some of the constraints, not just the buildings that we want to maintain, but also there are a lot of environmental constraints here. Particular among them are floodplains and floodway. A lot of this area, especially the northern edge, a lot of what you see in the asphalt and the rails is actually in the floodway. There's a lot of flood fringe around the site as well. So as we're thinking about redevelopment and we're thinking about growth, that really limits the amount of real built structures that we can make. That leads us really to the idea that as we repurpose this, we would have to be strategic about any new building and really think about this more as recreation or open space or public space and really emphasize the existing structures, because a lot of that environmental context isn't going to give us a whole lot of flexibility in terms of what we do. So it is important to keep that in mind, that this is not a place where you could come in and suddenly build a lot of really big, massive structures or redevelop extensively because the groundwater is just not going to let you do it. So we're standing here at the gateway to the Veterans Memorial. This is an important link. So we've managed to develop kind of a greenway link between downtown and Pratt Avenue. That's just one part of the greenway network, and it runs right through the middle of the depot ground. So it's really an opportunity here for the depot potentially to become a recreational or a greenway hub, really connecting throughout the city. So not only do we have a link that gets you all the way up to Pratt and extends via bike lanes up Meridian, but we're also not that far from the planned routes for the new North Huntsville Greenway project. That project will link you in one direction all the way to the Sky Bridge and in another direction all the way to Alabama A&M. So this really becomes a place where you can access almost any part of the city via greenway. So one of the things that we'd also like you to think about when you're thinking about programming for this area is how do we embrace that connection really throughout the community? How do we look at this as an opportunity to grow and expand and build upon that greenway network and really emphasize the historic past of this site and how it can connect to all the rest of Huntsville as it's growing. So it's probably not news to anybody. There's been a lot of development downtown. We're continuing to see a lot of development. There's office growth, been a lot of apartments. There are a lot of people moving downtown, a lot of folks finding residence downtown. So with a lot of the residents moving downtown, we know there's more development that's going to come. This site is actually situated right on the northern edge of downtown. A lot of development happening around here, and there's a lot of development happening around downtown in general, which means we really want to be intentional and we really want to be strategic about identifying areas for preservation and for maintaining open space. So it's one of the reasons when we took down the old City Hall, we wanted to return that to Big Spring Park, because it's an opportunity for us to add green space and add preservation downtown. This is another great opportunity for that. So as you look around from the apartments on one side and you come around here, you see how much open space there is here and how much opportunity there really is for preservation. This can become a real amenity, not only as a draw for folks coming in to visit downtown, but the people who live down here or work down here and hang out down here, to have this as preserved space and open space and recreation areas for anyone who wants to use downtown.